Learn why some schools are doing away with the ACT.
We'll learn about the hidden surprise in student government's budget.
And we'll give you all you need to know about Colorado State's softball team.
Good evening, Rams. I'm Edgar.
And I'm Lauren.
The Associated Students of CSU made a shocking discovery that has been overlooked by past council members. The current administration found more than $800,000 that has been untouched in the rollover budget. The former impeached ASCSU president Josh Silva, along with other student body leaders, failed to use this fund. The current president, Tristan Siren, says after saving a reasonable amount of the fund, ASCSU has about $500,000 of spending money left. ASCSU hopes to use this newfound wealth to fund better student life and experiences on campus.
Colorado State's latest big hire is breaking boundaries. The Board of Governors of CSU voted unanimously last Friday to hire Joyce McConnell as the new university president. Reporter Janae Hancock brings us more.
We're here on a very exciting day. 2 weeks ago, the Board of Governors culminated the first part of that search process by naming as a sole finalist for the position of president of CSU, Joyce McConnell. We are required by statute to then go through a 14-day or 2-week period before reconvening to consider the final question, and so here we are 14 days later.
And Joyce McConnell highly and without reservation to be appointed as the 15th president of Colorado State University. I think it's not perhaps CSU's finest moment that we haven't had a female president yet, and I'm very excited about it. And beyond those aspects, she's just amazingly qualified. I think she'll bring a great deal to the table for the university, and she'll take it to its next level.
Any opposition to the motion? Hearing none, the motion is unanimously approved, and we welcome the 15th president of Colorado State University, Joyce McConnell.
Such an emotional time. I'm so incredibly excited and honored. This is an extraordinary university, so to have the opportunity to come here and to lead this university after you've had such an amazing president in Tony Frank. So to be able to move this place from where he's brought it in his time here, I'm just thrilled.
Her campus, in fact, seems sad to see her depart, which I am unfamiliar with.
With a sense of humor, genuine personality, and passion for success, McConnell believes she's ready to take on CSU.
Someone said I was going to have big shoes to fill. At last night's meeting with students, I said my shoes are prettier.
Being the first female president, McConnell is excited for what's to come.
And the fact that I'm coming in as the 15th president, the first female in the 150th year, I think is somewhat extraordinary and something that we really need to embrace and celebrate. I think that it is a real testament to the fact that women can succeed and that they can succeed particularly to lead a land-grant institution in the United States.
This is Janae Hancock reporting with CTV.
Tristan Siren, president of the Associated Students of CSU, told Source he is confident Joyce McConnell will always have the students' best interests at heart.
The body found at the base of Horsetooth Reservoir on Thursday has been identified as 65-year-old physician Daniel Henich. The Lamar County Coroner's Office ruled his death as accidental from blunt force trauma caused by the falling. Though Henich struggled with his own daughter's murder 10 years ago, his family came forward saying due to his beliefs, he would not have ended his own life. According to his brother Sam Henich, in the Coloradoan, the preliminary coroner's report indicated his death was likely immediate.
47-year-old disability advocate Vivian Armendariz, born and raised in Loveland, Colorado, died of renal failure at the Poudre Valley Hospital on Saturday. Armendariz advocated for both the disabled and the poor in Fort Collins and often attended city council meetings in order to do so. Her sister, Armendarizia, said to the Coloradoan, "She called the shots in life. I don't know anybody who has overcome more barriers on their own terms." Born with spina bifida, Vivian was confined to a wheelchair. During her life, she developed a close friendship with law enforcement. Her memorial service will be held at the Poudre Valley Fire Authority Station number 6 this Saturday at 1 in the afternoon.
The controversial red flag bill is making its way through the Capitol and has counties and sheriffs in Colorado turning against each other. The red flag bill, which would allow law enforcement and families to obtain a court order to take away the guns of those that they believe pose a threat. The bill, which passed along party lines in both the House and the Senate, is expected to make its way to Governor Jared Polis for approval. Several law enforcement agencies have come out against the bill, including Larimer County Sheriff Steve Reams, who told CNN he's willing to go to jail for not enforcing the law. On the other hand, Douglas County Sheriff Tony Spurlock is in favor of this bill after Douglas County Deputy Zach Parrish was killed in the line of duty in 2017, for whom the bill is named after. But Douglas County officials don't support the bill. The county commissioners passed a resolution in opposition to the red flag bill. Douglas County joins 31 other counties in the state that have formally opposed the red flag bill. Here in Larimer County, while no official resolution has come out against the bill, the county commissioners and Sheriff Justin Smith have raised their concerns with the bill, citing Fourth Amendment rights and concern with law enforcement safety. The bill is expected to be signed by Governor Jared Polis within the next 30 days and won't become law until 2020.
Have you ever been so stressed out that you just want to crawl into a bubble? Well, Fort Collins might just have the newest place for you. Reporter Isabella Roberts has more on the technology that's made its way to the Front Range.
Addiction, PTSD, anxiety, insomnia, and more disorders are all areas that the Theta Pod treats.
Fort Collins has a ton of super health-minded, holistic people, and I knew that Fort Collins would be a great place for something like this. We have super high-tech wellness stuff, but it's really different than what we have so far here in Fort Collins, and I thought that this would be a great community that would be open to it.
Kathleen emphasized that clients set the theta chamber settings themselves to directly cater to their needs.
Binaural beats are put on to help the cerebral hemispheres synchronize. Visual light pattern stimulation is used to help induce a state of deactivation. Microcurrent signaling is administered through clips on your ears.
I definitely felt different right away, but it wasn't until, for me, you know, I think everyone's going to be different, but for me it was definitely about halfway. I really felt a lot of the things really start to stick and be a little more concrete.
Ryan used the Theta Pod for 28 days to help treat his area of needs.
But it also can help with a lot of cool things like mental clarity and focus, and it can even provide something of a spiritual connection or experience in there. It kind of depends on what your intention is and what you're here for, what you're working on.
This is Isabella Roberts reporting with CTV.
For more information on Theta Pods and Fort Collins' newest wellness center, you can visit happywholeyou.com.
The college admissions process was never an easy one, but for some, that process could become easier. The University of Denver announced last month that it won't require prospective students to submit ACT or SAT scores. The move by DU hopes to attract a more diverse group of students, including those from a low-income or first-generation background. DU is not the first school to do so. More than 1,000 schools across the country already don't require SAT or ACT scores. Schools like ASU, New York University, and the University of Texas at Austin. Here at CSU, SAT or ACT scores are still required for admissions. In a statement, Leslie Taylor, Vice President for Enrollment and Access, says, "In terms of making these test scores optional, we've been keeping an eye on the emerging national trend. We're always considering our admissions requirements in the direction of increasing fairness to student applicants and ensuring that we are admitting students with the best chance of success." Today, I hit the plaza to see what students had to say.
Students who don't have the resources to get tutoring or go through like the study classes that are offered, Because I feel like the SAT and ACT is really about those classes and not really about what you actually learn in high school. And that kind of divides people who have the means to do so and those who don't.
When you look at the history of ACT and SATs and how they've been written, there are studies that show that they're written for white people and for white people to get good scores on them. And when you look at like the recent scandal with people paying to have SAT scores changed, the systems that are holding different identities back, I think is something that I support. I think there's a lot of ways to determine if a student is qualified to succeed at a university past their SAT or ACT scores.
These kinds of tests don't really account for, you know, different disabilities, especially like people who just know the material but need more time. Like there's no real way to adjust for that, and they don't adjust for it, and I just feel like that's unfair to those students. And
So Lauren, I had to see what your take is on SAT or ACT scores. What do you think?
So I see both sides of it. I think that standardized testing is definitely hard, and it's I know not a lot of students are good at just taking tests. I know I'm one of those people, but I did take the test twice, the ACT twice, and I did improve. So I see both sides of it.
For sure. I'm the same way. I'm definitely not a test taker, but I also did take the test 3 times just to see if I could keep getting higher scores, and it did. But I feel like being in college now, I feel like I didn't really need the test. So
right, yeah.
It is kind of interesting to see how this will be changing throughout colleges across the country. So we'll see how it keeps changing. So
yeah, definitely, good point.
So today is also a national holiday that we have to talk about.
Yes.
Today is the Polliner Institute's nonprofit that owns PolitiFact celebrates in equipping citizens, journalists, and professional fact checkers and educators with resources to help separate fact from fiction. So do you know how to separate fact from fiction, Lauren?
Yes, well, I know a few good tips. I definitely think that it's important to read the entire article before you get your entire opinion on it. I think that it's also important to check the URL and the author of the source, check their credibility, see if that, you know, what they're writing makes sense, and then also cross-check. So try to find other articles that are talking about the same subject to make sure it's correct.
For sure. And something that that also came up with this was Twitter bots. We've all been a victim or have seen Twitter bots in some shape or form. When they released some ways to spot them. So I think the 3 big ones were check their followers and see who they're following and all that kind of stuff. Also check, one that surprised me the most was check to see when that profile was created. So the more recent it is, probably the more sketchier it is. And the other thing was find them on other social media platforms. So check Instagram, Facebook, and all those just to see if they are a valid account too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think those are great tips.
Awesome. And then before we go tonight, we wanted to update you on the election. Results haven't come in yet as polls just closed, but we will be bringing you updates on CTV's Twitter account and on Thursday night's news show.
And don't go anywhere, Rams. Up next, we have Hannah Willis with weather.
Listen, I realize that I'm not perfect, but it all really started to change because you judge me for having a problem. No one is going to know that I need help. I need help. I know that no one is going to judge me for having a problem. I realize that I'm not perfect, but it all really started to change because you listen.
Okay, so we drowned the fire, stirred it, drowned it again, and now just feel if it's cold.
Yeah.
Cool.
Smokey just gave me a bear hug.
I know. I already posted it.
Good evening, and I'm Hannah Willis, your Tuesday night weather anchor. The current temperature outside is a nice 49 degrees, and it is also cloudy. The wind is blowing at 6 miles per hour east with gusts up to 7 miles per hour, and the sun will set later this evening at 7:26 p.m. Looking back on the day, we see that the skies were very cloudy and gray, with a nice slight breeze in the sky as well. And with the coming of spring, we see many new colors around campus, like these flowers, these funky red plants, as well as some green colors as well. Going into tonight's lows, we see things cooling down a bit, with Fort Collins reaching 37 degrees and Pueblo and Colorado Springs staying about the same temperature at 36. Over in Burlington, we see 36 as well, and on the west side of the state, we see a higher temperature of 42 in Grand Junction. Going into tomorrow's highs, we see things along the I-25 corridor remaining relatively constant, with Fort Collins reaching 57 degrees, as well as Colorado Springs and Burlington. Again, the west side of the state is a little bit warmer, with Grand Junction reaching 59 degrees and Denver on the warmer side as well at 59. Going into tomorrow's temperature, we see that the high will be 57 and the low will be 20 degrees cooler at 37 degrees. It will be partly cloudy outside with wind blowing at 9 miles per hour, gusts up to 10 miles per hour, and the sun will set a little bit later at 7:27 in the evening. Going into our 5-day forecast, we see that things will warm up Friday, Saturday, and into the weekend. And on a side note, due to spring weather and snowpack conditions, it's Keystone's last day open. So if you would like, you can tune into your full send before the season ends. Thanks for getting your fix of the weather. Up next, Jess and Tara give you updates on softball and their 18th consecutive win.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be.
What's up, Ram fans, and welcome back from the break into the JT Double Take. I'm Tara Barrio.
And I'm Jessica Mendoza. Tara, baseball season has officially begun. So exciting. The Rockies are playing the Dodgers at Coors Field this Friday. Now, I know you're a Dodgers fan, but who do you think's going to win this weekend?
I'm just going to say the Dodgers. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think the game can kind of go both ways, especially last night, the Dodgers lost to the Giants, unfortunately. But I think the game can definitely go both ways. It's honestly going to be based on who is going to bring their bats to the table.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think the Rockies definitely have an upper hand, as it is their home opener. I think there's going to be a lot of hype around that. I wish I could be there, but also, like you said, whoever can get their bats going, and the Rockies definitely need to do that because that's been something they've been struggling with. But speaking of baseball, the CSU men's baseball team is playing right now, and Terry, you got a live score update for us?
Yep, the CSU baseball team is ahead 5-3.
Well, moving on from baseball, the CSU, yep, that's the current score for the baseball team. And moving on to the new field conditions, just 2 years after the football stadium here on campus was built, the turf has been ripped up and is starting to be replaced. Shaw Sports Turf, the company who installed the initial turf, is having to go back in at their own expense to fix the turf and drainage base to meet the percolation performance requirements. The Synthetic Power Blade Pro system will stay the same for the new renovation, which promises long-lasting monofilament fibers that are meant to play and look like natural grass, according to the Shaw Sports Turf website. The new field will keep its name as the Sonny Lubick Field on the sidelines, but now will have a new edition of the Canvas Credit Union logo to the turf as well. The project began yesterday and is scheduled to be finished by July, but should not interfere with the team's practices or off-season work.
The winning streak for the Colorado State Rams softball team has officially moved to 18, which matches the longest run of program history since 1997. After this weekend's sweep against Utah State Aggies, the Rams now have swept 3 Mountain West Conference teams. The Rams picked up 2 wins on Saturday with a score of 11-10 in Game 1 and 63 in Game 2. In Game 1, the Rams jumped on the board early, scoring 5 runs, but the Aggies answered back quickly, scoring 7 runs on 2 errors that prolonged the inning. In the bottom of the 5th inning, the Rams found the rally they needed, scoring 4 runs on 2 hits and a home run from Kriana Gamboa, putting the Rams ahead 11-10. CSU was able to keep that lead and come out with a victory. In Game 2, the Rams were having a hard time finding their rhythm in the box and trailed by 2 until the bottom of the 4th, scoring 3 runs to put them in the lead. Utah State tied up the score in the 5th, but the Rams were able to break that with a pair of home runs from Danny Klein and Ashley Ruiz. Finally, in Game 3, Colorado State's top of the order was very productive as Ashley Michelina and Haley Donaldson finished a combined 6 for 8 with 3 scored runs and 4 RBI. The Rams sealed the series, winning 8-4. The Rams looking to continue on the streak as they travel to San Jose, California to face on San Jose State on Friday starting at 7 in the evening.
Well, Ram fans, it's officially time for your favorite part of the week, Disrupted Picks. This week's submission comes from Lindsay Admonson, and she asks, should esports be considered real sports? So, Tara, what's your take on this?
I'm going to be completely honest. I do not think it's a sport. And I will say this just because I played sports my entire life. I played college softball, and I think that it comes with physical activity. I know people will argue saying that it is physical because they're moving their thumbs, but I think it's more of a hobby than anything.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's a competition, much like chess is or checkers. I did a lot of research because I really can't see how people think this is a sport, as the definition of sports really involves physical activity, and I just don't think that video games involve physical activity in any way. But from the other side, it sounds like, you know, where they're coming from is that it really takes a lot of work for them to put these different in-game motions together and things like that. It is a competition. It is very competitive, and it takes a lot of skill, 100%. I can't argue with that. But it's not a sport, and honestly, I think it's an insult to athletes out there who have grown up putting all this work in, running suicides, you know, all the physical activity that they put in. I think it's an insult, and I just can't ever say that esports is a sport.
Yeah, and I mean, I would go just as far as saying it's almost kind of like an addiction for people to play that, just because it not only does it affect their everyday lives and sometimes even their relationships, and I think it's definitely an insult, I feel, to athletes, because it's not the work and effort that athletes put in since the day that pretty much they can walk onto a field or court and grow up working every day as hard as they can, and then for them to be compared to a video game, I just think it's not okay and it's not fair.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it's a conversation we should be having as these video games are getting so much more popular. Everyone's heard the name Ninja from Fortnite, so I think it's a conversation we should start having about what is a healthy balance, as you're not really working as a team the same way as you are working with team sports. But Ram fans, that is all we have time for this week. Make sure to stay updated with all of CSU athletics by going to our Twitter page at sports_CTV. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Jessica Mendoza.
But don't go anywhere just yet, Rams. Justin Ruiz is up with entertainment.
You are listening to 90.5 KCSU Fort Collins with DJ Meanbeat,
DJ Nightshade, DJ Wildcard. Music to me is one of the best creative outlets that I can think of. An escape from the real world.
Music to me is an expression of love.
To go from like folk to hip hop to like classic rock, 1960s bossa nova. With music, there's like no boundaries.
I work here because I love music, and you do too.
Well, Thomas, you've got pre-diabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have pre-diabetes. Big time.
Good evening, Rams. I'm Justin here with all your entertainment news. Let's get started. The 30th annual Colorado Brew Fest will be moved to the CSU Canvas Stadium. The fest is typically held in Old Town and features more than 150 beers from 50 Colorado breweries, as well as food vendors, artisan exhibitors, and more than 5 hours of live music. The Brewfest Summit is planned from 5 to 8 in the evening on June 28th. Tickets will go on sale May 1st. What is drag? Who can do it? Can it get political? These questions pose no problem for local drag performer Lola Gag, as she gave us answers to these questions while preparing to perform at CSU's Spring Drag Show. Getting dressed to the nines and lip syncing, two main parts that go into a drag show. But what exactly is drag nowadays?
This is an art form. It's not so much mimicry anymore. And there is some level of mimicry when you do impersonations and such, but in this current state, what I'm doing now, the world looks like this.
The concept of drag isn't about dressing as opposite genders. Rather, drag can be a statement about politics, gender, sexuality, and race that is open to active discussion.
I feel like what really motivates a lot of queens and what motivates a lot of our positions is that it has an edge. It's that we look different and that we are different and that we're trying to convey something that most people don't get.
Pop culture and popular media can sensationalize drag to the point where the central message gets lost.
Because drag isn't really white at all. It's very much people of color oriented. Respecting that my drag ancestors, the reason I'm able to do this today is because of a trans drag queen of color.
Marsha P. Johnson and Lola Gag have a lot in common. Both use drag to advocate for free spaces of expression and visibility, but Lola has some advice for newcomers to drag.
And for anyone who wants to start doing drag, you've got to do your history.
Keep your eyes open for Lola's performance at the CSU Spring Drag Show. We all enjoy a good glass of wine every now and again, and wine festivals are a natural extension of that. This weekend's wine festival takes things a little further. The 37th annual Wine Fest being held at the Fort Collins Marriott Hotel this weekend is benefiting Disabled Resources Services, a local organization that provides help for disabled people. VIP admission starts at $100, but for those who just want a taste of the wines, tickets are $75. For more information, you can visit localwineevents.com. Speaking of wine again, who doesn't enjoy a glass while unwinding with some activity? Pinot's Palette is a local place where you can paint a picture while sipping on a glass of, well, Pinot or whatever your flavor is. Usually it costs $35 per person, but for some themed painting nights, you can get in for as little as $20 per person. For more information, you can visit pinotspalette.com/Fort Collins. Well, I think I'm all out of time. Thank you for tuning in, and tomorrow at 7 is the SCSU presidential debate, so we'll be here and at the CSU Laurie Student Center. Thanks for watching and have a great night.